Hello, hello, hello. We're so glad to be here with you guys at Project Healthy Minds World Mental Health Day Festival. So this conversation is one that is close to all of our hearts. It's about body image in the days of GLP-1s. So I'm going to briefly introduce our panelists, who are wonderful. We have two-time Sports Illustrated cover model, designer, podcast host, and body image advocate. That's you, Hunter. Hunter McGrady. Wow, thank you. We have the founder of MegaBABE and body acceptance advocate, Katie Sturino. And we have Harvard-Grad Content Creator, singer, and size inclusivity advocate, Samyra.
You better work, Harvard.
So we had a conversation a few days ago as we prepared for this panel, and I'm so excited for some of the tidbits that you're gonna get from this conversation. So just repeat everything you said on the call, please.
You got it.
No, so you've each built your careers during the height of body positivity, right? Which I would say 10 years-ish, a little bit less ago, was kind of the height of what, people consider the body positivity, body acceptance, body inclusivity movement. How have you all done that, and why was that a huge part of kind of the way you built your platforms? We'll start with you, Katie.
Great. First of all, thank you guys so much for coming today. It's exciting to see you guys out there. I would say I started this whole journey because I realized after a lifetime of feeling like I was too big in my body and that I had the wrong type of body to work in fashion in New York, that actually my body was totally fine, that it was all the messaging I had been receiving my entire life was the problem. And when I started to dig into that a little bit more, I realized that women all around me really actually hated their body, and I'm wondering why we're choosing to spend our lives in that headspace. So that's why I started doing this, and that's why I still do it today. I'm just in pursuit of helping women feel good about themselves.
Amazing. You've done good work. You helped me. You helped my mama. Okay.
I love your mom.
My mom was a big Katie fan. Hunter, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I started modeling when I was 16 years old, and my mom was a model, my aunt, my dad's an actor, so I've been around it my entire life, and we didn't have plus-size models growing up. Like, it wasn't something that I saw. And then, gosh, in 2016, I saw a Vogue Italia cover with, it was Candace Huffine, Tara Lynn, and Robin Lawley was on the cover of it. And I was like, whoa, seeing this cover with girls who looked like me, I was like, wait a second, so this whole modeling thing can really happen for me, even though I'm not a size 002? Like, what do you mean? My dreams can still come true?
Yeah.
And seeing that was such a pivotal moment for me. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to have that happen where someone else sees me in something and says, whoa, this can happen. And therein lies the beginning of my career and, what I've been blessed to do and what I hope continues.
Yeah.
Just the inclusivity, diversities in bodies, and really all around. I hope we see more of it because it's crucial. It's crucial.
Yeah, Samyra, tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yes, so I think, I know for sure my entire life I have been very audacious,
yes,
as people would say. Even from a young girl, I was the first girl on my high school football team. I played defensive tackle with the boys.
Knock them down, knock them down.
Knock them down, left, right, up, down. And that was definitely a place where I learned a lot more about confidence and a lot more about the kind of true mindset of confidence, because athletes are some of the most confident people, dare I say cocky people, on the planet. And I believe they should be cocky. I think especially looking at football, a sport I love very near and dear, you want your players to believe they are the best out there. They are, they are going to do the best every game, but they also understand that they might make mistakes during the game. And I think that's where I learned to really strip myself of perfectionism, because I was a straight A student. I did it at Harvard, but I really got out of that perfectionism mindset and accepted that mistakes are a part of life. It's how you grow. And that's really led me to where I am now and continuing that journey of confidence, of of unapologetically audacious. If I want to do something and somebody tells me no, well, now I'm going to do it 10 times. And you're going to be upset 10 times. And now I'm going to do it 11 times. And so in 2021, I graduated from Harvard during the pandemic, went back home to New Orleans. I worked for a year for Her Campus Media, which was a very fun place to work. And then in the 7 months I worked there, I went from 0 to 1 million on TikTok. And I said, well, thank you so much. This was so fun. I got my hand in too many gumbo pots. I got to go now. And ever since then, I've been on this career and this journey of music, of advocacy, and it's been really beautiful.
Yeah. You know, I would say almost just as you were coming out of Harvard, you know, that's when GLP-1s started to hit the scene. And I want to be very clear. It is a drug that is very impactful in a lot of people's lives. It changes health in a lot of ways. I think we're also seeing in the culture that it feels like the 90s again. You know, it feels like everywhere you look, there are bastions of thinness. And as someone who's written for a long time in my career about body inclusivity, you know, trying so hard to make people feel seen, no matter the size of their body, it can feel a little bit like, well, was that all a waste? Did we waste our time? But I want to hear from you all about what do you feel is changing? What do you sense is changing? And how are the current messages around GLP-1s negatively or positively impacting the conversation around, you know, body image?
I would love to jump in. I would say, so what's so interesting, like, yes, there is this narrative that we are returning to the 90s and heroin chic and all these dangerous messages around thinness. But I think what is so interesting is that, one, being in a bigger body is not the only way to be body positive.
Yes.
And I think that is a big confusion that people have. They're like, oh, you know her, she's body positive. She's like a size 20. That's not like what makes you body positive. But I hear that all the time from people. And then I think that there's another misconception that GLP-1s mean that there will be no more people who are curvy or like, there'll be no more plus size people. That people say that all the time to me. They're like, well, with GLP-1s, everyone will be thin now, which I've never been thin a day in my life. Like even when I was like a little kid, it was never like that for me. And then I also think it's interesting because sorry for the ramble here, but because you see so many people on GLP-1s who are celebrities and they're elevating that message and they're like, this girl went from a 4 to a 0, and you see that all over the place, and that's what we're pushing at people. Like, it's almost like our society kind of accepted that. And they're like, yeah, we're back to the 90s now. And I'm like, what? Where did our fight go? We were kind of making actual progress, and we did make progress in certain categories, but like, I don't understand the messaging around just like giving up and being like, it's Kate Moss time again, here we are.
Well, you bring up something really important, and it's that what we really should be seeking is a variety of stories, a variety of bodies, a variety of perspectives, right? So that it never feels like being on a GLP-1 is like a quick fix that only celebrities do before their vacations. We could tell the health stories that are positive around that. We can tell people stories of people in size 20, 24, people in size 10, people in size 2, right? And I think that what you're talking about, you know, body positivity never being just about plus size people, right, is an important message.
All women hate their bodies.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that that's lame.
Yeah. What about you both?
Yeah, we were talking backstage about this. I think the thing is that historically speaking, society wants to keep us down, right? And so how do we do that? We get to our insecurities, right? And so I think when GLP-1s came in the conversation, it wasn't about health. It was weight became the center again, and health was pushed to the side. And I think that's a really, really dangerous thing that we're seeing. You can't open your Instagram or whatever platform without seeing a scale or a measuring tape or proportion plates, whatever it might be. And there's, of course, this nuance around it, right? Because I'm somebody who says, my body, my choice. That doesn't stop at abortion. It stops at whatever you want to do with your body.
Right.
Period. And
Yes, hand clap of praise.
Yes, we're all here.
We love it.
Yes.
but I also believe that two truths can exist at the same time. We can have that, and we can also have the conversation around needing diversity still.
Yeah.
That conversation still needs to happen. That conversation didn't go away when GLP-1s came on the scene.
Right.
And so it's like the powers that be, the fashion industry, the magazines, the television, who we see represented, we still have to hold those people accountable and say, we still want to see diversity.
Right.
Just because we took our health into our own hands and so-and-so's on a GLP-1 doesn't mean I don't want to see people on my screen that look like me. I'm just like Katie. I'm not going to ever be a size 2. Granted, I'm not on a GLP-1, but I'm not going to put somebody down because they are. You do
Right.
what you want to do with your own body. Who am I to say?
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. Do you.
Do
That's what I say.
you.
Do you, sis?
Yeah.
Do you. Samyra, I know you have especially kind of held the fashion industry accountable, right? As they need to be held accountable. And I think they're a big part of this conversation as well, because we've seen some of the backsliding that's happened on the runways and things like that. So for you, what do you want to tell those fashion brands out there who've kind of seemed to step away from, you know, body positivity and inclusivity?
Yeah, I think that the way that we think about it really has to go past fashion. I think that it isn't just an issue in fashion, really, even in beauty. For example, anecdotally, there was a situation where I was invited to a brand event for Rare Beauty, and I went there, and they had clothing out, and none of it was offered in plus sizes. But I had been invited as a plus size creator, and I let them know after. I said, thank you so much for inviting me. Just a little bit of feedback for me to feel more welcome in the space. And because I know that you care about inclusivity as a brand, I would have loved to see some plus sizes here. I don't know if you had the final say in this, you know, these merch offerings, because I know it was a little music ordeal as well. And they said, hey, you know, this wasn't our decision, but we do have size inclusive merch that we would love to send you. I said, great, send me a link to the website. I go to the website. The merch is not size inclusive. So now it's like, okay, now I have to go explain again how this is not size inclusive, how you're gonna have your plus size customers go into this website to buy what they think is a 3XL, but it actually has the same measurements as an extra large at Old Navy. And it's a trickle down effect of this endless feedback loop of, you know, people saying plus sizes don't sell. But you go to buy your size and it's not your size. Or people aren't even aware that there is a difference between a 3XL and a 3X, that one is a straight size and one is a plus size. And that issue really is baked into everything beyond fashion. And there's a lack of consideration for plus size bodies and a lack of acknowledgement that the majority of people are more likely to be plus size than thin. And that is just a fact. And I think that it really does come down to what you all were talking about this resurgence of thin is back. And I think everything is an ebb and flow. But I think that now we do have the unique ability with social media, and everyone has information at their fingertips, and they have the ability to seek out new resources to unlearn fat phobia and really update themselves on what the correct measurements and indicators of health are, if those even exist, because a lot of those are based in a lot of the forms of discrimination that we hate.
Right.
So I think that that is what it takes. It really takes consideration and representation within these brands that of having plus size people on staff, because if you're going to tell me that your stuff is size inclusive, then why are you offering me an extra large?
Yeah.
Yeah, what you mentioned about, you know, there are standards that were set that didn't include the majority of the people who exist in this world. You know, we know measurements like BMI are based on white men, actually. So how can we keep people to those standards, right? That's impossible, right? We need to update the standards, and I think that's something that we all wish for. Katie, you've been very transparent with your audience about your journey with GLP-1s. And I know that that wasn't an easy decision for you to make about sharing that journey, because we've seen those who are known in the plus size and body inclusivity community, when they come out and start to share their journey, there is a high amount of vitriol. Yeah. Like, you know, you were betrayed the community, but for you, you decided to do that. Why?
I didn't initially want to talk about it because, just like you guys said, you cannot turn on your TV or open your phone without getting messaging around GLP-1s. So for me, I was like, you know what, I'm going through this, and I don't want to be another place where you have to come and see these four little letters here. GLP-1, okay. Just okay.
3 letters,
yeah, 3 letters,
one number.
Yeah, okay. I wanted it to be a place where you can still come and find exactly what you're looking for, which is a positive mirror to look back and say, this is how I'm going to improve my relationship with my own body. My choice to go on GLP-1s was completely medically related. It was blood work related. Like, people are like, oh, you know, you got big physically, and then you sold us that, and then now you're on this drug to lose weight. And that just isn't it. I look at myself as a size 22, and I'm like, I look so good. And I mean it, and I do. And I look at my face and my body and my curves, and now my body is shifting in a different way. And I think what is so important and what is missed so often around the changes in your body is that if you don't do the work to accept yourself I know you guys have heard this before. If you don't do that work to accept yourself at whatever size you are going to find new things to be upset about as your body changes, as you age, as you go through health issues, as you change your family. The issues will just jump around. And that's why, if you can start with the acceptance, you set yourself up to be able to surf those things in a different way.
You know, I'm glad that you brought mental health into this, because, you know, that's why we're here today. And, you know, as someone who, you know, grew up doing Jenny Craig with my mama, you know, doing a little Tae Bo in the middle school, to lose weight, right? Like, my mother was on this constant journey to lose weight. She was always unhappy. And I got that by osmosis, right? And I'm someone who's yo-yoed throughout my life. And recently I got to a place where, you know, I was feeling unhealthy. And so I lost some weight. And it really became a point where the number on the scale was just a number. I was getting on it every day as a data point. And so when I gained the weight back, because I did, I'm like, oh no, I look good either way. Just so you know, I look good 40 up, 40 down. But, you know, I do still say to myself, well, there are health things that I want to address. But I'm only able to say that because I started to look at that number just as what it is.
Data point.
Data. It's data. And it has nothing to do with how healthy I am or how healthy I'm not. It has nothing to do with, maybe a little bit with my stress level. It's more having to do with what I ate last night, you know? And when you start to look at it like that, then you are able to say, I'm beautiful any way I come. It's more about how I feel. And how you feel is the most important thing. And what we need to do is show people who love their bodies at every size.
That's exactly it. We were talking about this also backstage. It's like, I think for us, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I know you very personally, and I just met you two backstage. But it's the freedom from numbers. From a young age, we have been ingrained, right? And we see numbers equals health. That's not the truth. It's not the truth. I've been everything from a size 2 to a size 24, pregnant, not pregnant, everything in the book. I had worse numbers when I was smaller. But I was so ingrained that big equals unhealthy, right? And so getting free from those numbers is such a powerful experience. And it, like Katie was saying, it's here. We were talking about a girlfriend of mine who doesn't need a GLP-1, wants it for pure, you know, the way that she looks. She lost the weight that she thought in her head was going to make her happy. Her goalpost was there. And then after that, her goalpost changed. And she said, why? I still don't feel good. And I said, because it's not about this, it's about this. And so if this isn't right, doesn't matter. You could lose weight, you can gain weight, you can do all this, that, and the other. It's not gonna matter if your head is not there first. And so it's like, that's the nuance. That's the conversation that needs to be had, right? Like the healthy, like true body positivity. And that word has been so thrown around that now it is like, ugh. When I hear it, I'm like, ugh, because brands have used it and put it on their billboards and said, we're body positive, but we don't make your size, but we use the model that kind of looks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so much around it, but bringing the conversation to the mental aspect of it is the most important.
Can I jump in and say something? I also want to say that when you mentioned about the brand offering you the extra large, I'm like, well, that's inclusive. You can find something there. I feel like that has an additional mental impact that brands don't recognize, that when you're like, you can shop from here, but you actually can't, that there's just a loud message that you are not included and that this isn't for you and you need to go elsewhere. And I don't think brands care about that impact anymore, because I think that they're now aware of it.
Yeah, I think if I may jump in on the mental aspect, I forget the name of the study, so forgive me, but I read a study that was talking about how actually weight stigma is much more dangerous than weight itself. And if you're unfamiliar with what weight stigma is, just the prejudice and bias and fat phobia that people experience in society. And fat phobia doesn't just affect fat people. And I think that is a common misconception. I think everybody is trapped in this cell of obsession with food and obsession with body checking, and that's kind of why I am more aligned with body neutrality than body positivity, because some people need you to be quiet about their bodies. Some people don't want to hear girl body tea, oh yeah, what waist, like some people don't want to hear that because that fuels certain habits for them that are not good for them physically or mentally. And I think that is a big aspect that is looked over, especially in my comment section, in all of our comment sections and DMs. I replied to someone one time when they berated me with negativity and they were talking about, but your health, you should care about your health. I said, if you care so much about my health, then what about my mental health? What about this message was actually considerate of my mental health, since you care so much about my health? You didn't ask anything about what time I went to bed last night. What time did you go to bed, by the way? Sleep is very important.
Sleep is the most important.
But I think that, there is a big component of weight stigma and fat phobia that is not talked about, that is documented as being much more dangerous than weight itself.
So with that, how can we do better, right? I agree, body neutrality, I think body inclusivity, body variety, if that is something that we want to use, is the new goalpost, right? That we really need to push everyone for, showing us a variety of ways to be happy and healthy. So what should we be doing in the way that we, as people who have platforms, speak about weight and bodies in order to make sure that hopefully the generation that comes up in this world where GLP-1s are an option, feel that they can be happy at any size?
I think the biggest thing is, before anybody is to speak, they need to educate themselves. I think there's a lot of people that just prop up the phone and talk without realizing that there is a lot of literature out there so that you know what you're talking about. And recently I even offered a celebrity some books to read because she referred to her fat fans as fat F words who don't deserve Chick-fil-A, a whole berating of things, and I was told to shut the F up. In response to offering her books on fat phobia. And I think that is what is so prominent in society today, amongst many other forms of discrimination, but specifically with fat phobia, there's that resistance to education. And so I think that there has to be the open-mindedness and the willingness to learn yourself, others, but I think that there just has to be that open-mindedness and desire to learn and want to change.
Yeah, and keep being loud. You know what I mean? I think everyone got really quiet because we went through an era of like canceling everyone who said anything. And so everyone got really quiet and really afraid to speak out, right? Or afraid to call out a brand. You know what I mean? It's like, at some point we have to be loud again. And we have to say what everyone else is thinking and wanting, is that we still want this. We're still here. You know what I mean? And I think that that's so important, but it can be scary to be loud. You know what I mean? It's like, you put yourself out there. We all know, we have a platform. You just put yourself out there saying, hey, let's be educated. And you took that backlash and you had to deal with that. And that's scary. And it affects you. It affects your mental health, you know? And it's like, but you're doing it not just for you, you're doing it for the next generation. You're doing it for our current peers. You're doing, you know what I mean? So it's like having to put yourself out there, but like, that's something that we are so passionate about. And I think it's also platforming that, right? Like platforming the people who have the messaging that rings true to.
Yeah.
You know? Don't just platform someone on their after. Platform them before too.
Yeah.
You know?
Or get rid of before and afters altogether.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Before and afters.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like take us as in every season, like Katie was saying, you know?
How do you all, with such, large platforms, how do you all protect your own mental health? Because you're standing on the front lines, which means at times you catch the strays or the direct hits. Okay, I'm gonna say it wasn't a stray, it was direct. Okay, so as we talk about mental health, we can obviously handle that on an individual level, and we're talking at it at a societal level, which is very big. But I hope that you all find ways to protect yourselves. Do you? What do you do?
Well, for me personally, the comments about my body don't affect me anymore, because I'm good. I did this work. I'm all right. Like, you can call me a big fat pig. I'm like, okay, like whatever. Like, but I think that when I get out of my like social media bubble and you are passed into, I mean, what you just experienced, I have experienced on a tiny level, and when you get hit with the aggression of the entire internet, which again, I have not experienced the entire internet, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think that there is no way to protect yourself from that. I think you have to get offline. I shouldn't be speaking. I feel like you should speak.
I feel like for context here, in August, I decided to take a step back from socials, just because once that person decided to very directly tell me to shut the F up, I knew what was coming my way, what had already started coming my way, and I did not need to subject myself to that. There's just no need. And as my therapist would say, I wouldn't take advice from any of them people anyway, so there's nothing to listen to. And what I did instead was I got offline and I went to the Saints game the next day. The Saints played the Chargers or the Rams or something in LA, and I went to the Saints game and said goodbye. And I think that is what is very important, especially in advocacy work, that you do need to take those steps back sometimes.
Right.
You do have to take those moments to recharge, and whether that is finding different avenues to advocate through. Like, my favorite thing to do is to put it in a song. I then wrote a lot of diss tracks about Forever 21, Beyond Yoga. Like, I love to put it in a song and find new methods that can fuel me while I'm also, speaking about what I care about. And for me, that is my music. I'm sure you love to walk on a runway. You look stunning.
Girl, I don't love to walk on a runway. Thank you. I'm not a good runway walker.
You look stunning on every runway, every cover you do. And I think that finding different ways to advocate that aren't always the same, that require the propping up of the phone and then having to look at the comments and be like, okay, they're saying stupid stuff today. Yeah. I think that really finding those different avenues to fuel your passions and still get your message across, or sometimes just don't say nothing at all and go do what you want to do. And that's what I've been doing. And I'm sitting here today in New York City in a polka dot dress. I had to walk 7 minutes down the street because I was stuck in standstill traffic, because I don't like New York. I know nothing about New York. But I've been living my life, enjoying the Saints, even though they are 1-5 and 1-4. I think they're still going to go to the Super Bowl, because that's the confidence that I have in my Saints. But yeah, I think definitely taking intentional steps back, and that is definitely for any advocacy work.
Right.
Yeah. Therapy.
Therapy, yes.
Yeah.
I'm a believer.
And if you need an SSRI, I think that should be available too. I am a big proponent for that.
Yeah, I'm Alexa Pro girly.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So everybody agrees.
150 milligram. Yeah.
I also wanted to say, I think that what you were saying about doing things in different, like you can change the message or find a different way to be an advocate, and not, now it's gonna sound like I'm just promoting my book, but I'm gonna tell you that this is kind of why I wrote a novel.
Yeah.
Because people are like, why'd you write a novel? Well, I thought I had an interesting like story to tell, but also because I wrote a novel this summer called Sunny Side Up, and it's, the whole thing is that there's a message about a plus size girl who gets a divorce and who finds, or maybe she finds love. I don't know if she finds love.
So you have to read. You have to get it and read it to find out.
But I'm saying that was a different way to get the messaging across. And so it's like I'm not always just with my phone propped up. I find ways to do this work in different ways. So maybe you hate my face and you just don't want to listen to me anymore. Great. Maybe you can find my book. You don't even know it's me that wrote it. Great. And you're going to get that message. Or maybe you're going to pick up a stick of MegaBABE at Target and be like, oh, someone made Thigh Rescue. That means that chafing thighs aren't that weird. I guess that makes me feel more seen. It makes me feel more normal. And that's another way to get it. So it's like, I won't stop pushing this on people, and I'm going to find you in a way that you hope, I'm just going to find you in a different way.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something that I think a lot about as I run a publication. When you think about, or two publications, yes.
Could you tell everyone which?
I run Allure and Self publications. But, it's something when we think about inclusivity in that way, sometimes being inclusive is all about making it normal.
Yeah.
It's not about saying, okay, we're doing a shoot.
Yes.
Yeah,
How many black girls do we have?
Yeah.
How many Latina girls do we have? How many plus size girls do we have? Do we have anyone over the age of 40?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about saying like, let's just make this look normal.
Like not have to talk about their size.
Yeah. Let's just make it look normal. And I will say there is the other side where sometimes you have to be intentional because you say, wow, we've done like 8 covers this year and everybody's been white and blonde. Like, let's not do that next time. So I think sometimes the way you're talking about doing it kind of through the side, through the back, and be like, all of a sudden you just feel normal. I tell people that's why I go to therapy. I just want my therapist to come and be like, you're normal. Everybody else does this too. I was like, okay, girl, great. That's all I need to hear. So you each have your own businesses, and I think, Katie, you told us a little bit about how your book and MegaBABE really support this audience of all size bodies. I would love to hear how each of you also in the current projects that you're doing, which are very exciting projects, are being more representative of what you want to see in this world.
Yeah, I just launched a collection at Sam's Club, and it's
Yes.
it's sizes extra small to 6X,
Yes.
which is like inclusive, like truly inclusive. And the thing is it's like I've always wanted to make sure that I put my money where my mouth is, quite literally. You know what I mean? Because I can't sit up here and be like, I'm inclusive. You guys, we offer an XXL. And then like that's more than half of my following and half my audience. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's exciting to bring clothes to every woman in, and I wish we could go even higher. And maybe we will one day. And I hope we will one day. Like, I hope that like, that is something where you can get, for me, my biggest thing was getting the garment at the same price, because typically if you're exist in a larger body, you have to pay a premium. You have to pay more for a garment than you would your peer who's smaller. But getting things that are the same price that are beautiful, believe it or not, plus size women want beautiful clothes.
Of course.
We want to feel good. And that's always been important to me. I've had lines with QVC, I've had swim lines, I've had lingerie lines, and this is my current project with Sam's, and it's really exciting. And to be in 200 stores with them, and for people to go in and know that they're gonna find their size, that's what it's about for me.
Well, also I think, yes. I also think Sam's Club is a very intentional choice, right? I think it's something that is beyond just the New York, because I'm from Georgia. So, I have a Sam's Club. My mom was just calling me about going to the Sam's Club.
Well, send her over to my section. Stuff's cute.
So, I think everyone deserves to feel seen. And I think we often get caught up in, what designer fashion is doing.
Oh, yeah.
But most people who wear clothes can't afford designer fashion.
Yeah. Katie knows I'm a Maxinista, I'm a Samsa. She literally texted me today. She goes, what Veronica Berry bag is that? And I go, no, it's TJ Maxx. She goes, what is this? I go, no, it's TJ Maxx. I'm like, Maxinista, because fashion, it doesn't have to be hundreds and thousands of dollars to look beautiful.
Yeah. Are they gonna write you a check?
Let's hope so. If you're listening. Please. It's true though.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional with what your works are. You know what I mean? Your messaging behind it. You do that brilliantly.
And Samyra, you were just in a big campaign.
Yes. I recently was a part of Ashley Graham's collection with JCPenney. I modeled for it, which was a beautiful full circle because my first start with JCPenney was actually me telling them to get their stuff together because I had made a little parody video of the plus size section being scary. And I added a bunch of oohs and like jump out things because it's always in the back, cobwebs, dark lights flickering. And I was in Macy's. and then JCPenney commented and they were like, oh, we got the good stuff. We got plus sizes. Go check out our plus sizes. I said, okay, you're gonna send me over there? I'm gonna go over there. I got gas. So I went over there. And when I got over there, I walked into the store and they had swimsuits out. And I looked at the swimsuits and I saw plus size swimsuits right there. But I didn't see any plus size mannequins at all. So nobody that's plus size would think to go check for their size in that section. And then what's gonna happen? Oh, the plus size swimsuits aren't selling, let's pull them. So I went through the whole store and did all of that, posted a video, and then some not so good things happened with some automated things with their comment replying things that resulted in other not so good things, and then that led to me getting on a call with their leadership team. And I very, blatantly told them like there needs to be more consideration. That's what needs to happen. Here's how that can happen. Thank you very much. A year and a half later, here they are with Ashley Graham, and they called me up to model, and they're the first to know that I very rarely work with clothing brands. As much as I talk about clothing, I do not work with clothing brands that often because, again, they don't make my size, and I'm not gonna lie to anybody. I am very quick to say no and slow to say yes. And people always think like, oh, you do all this talk, but you don't work with anybody. I will never work with somebody that doesn't make my size. You want me to put on a tight shirt? I do that enough because I got to squeeze in an urban outfit is small, and I'm gonna make it work. Because if it look like you can fit it, then you better go and get it. But with JCPenney, they really did show that commitment to size inclusivity in this collection with Ashley. In all the stores that it is in, it has the full size range, which is up to a size 30, and it's up to a 5X, which is wonderful. And it's cute clothes because plus size people are just used to having the same patterns, the same silhouettes, and that are all different from what straight size customers have. And even in the conversation of designer versus other offerings, I think that what's often signaled is that plus size bodies aren't luxury.
Yeah.
I think that very recently there was a situation that I spoke about with BABE, and I love their luggage. And they talk about how they want to be the travel brand for everyone, and then they do a clothing collab, their first clothing collab, and it's with Gap. Which Old Navy has up to a 4X and up to a 30, but Gap is their brand that doesn't have plus sizes. And you had a choice there. And I was very adamant about that, and they decided to delete my comments, and that's on them. But I think the message that sends, once again, is that plus size bodies are excluded from luxury. They're excluded from these things, and we have to be so considerate, especially when the campaign slogan for the BABE Gap collab was "Go big, don't go home." And I made a video and I went to that store and said they couldn't go big, so I had to go home. Because the biggest size they had was an extra large.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, we're going to wrap up now, but I want to ask you one last question. What do you all wish for someone who is struggling with their body and their mental health? What do you want to tell them? What do you want to advise them to do?
I want to tell them, I want to tell them that it is so possible for them to get there, and that it's not going to happen overnight, and it doesn't, and you're going to have setbacks, and you're going to have days where you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I can't put on anything in my closet, I don't know what to do, and you're going to learn to get through those days, and those days are just going to become moments that you have, and then soon they'll just be blips that you don't even have to worry about. But I want people to know that it's possible, that you just have to start. You just have to try.
Yeah. Hunter?
It's gonna sound so cliche, but it's something that I've said forever. I even had a brand at QVC called All Worthy, but I think you're worthy. You're worthy of it. You know what I mean? Like, we have to start gassing our own selves up.
Yes.
Women especially. And we also have to start gassing each other up.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to tell your friends, go girl, right? And know that you're valued. Like, in a world where it's people make money off of you not feeling worthy and not feeling valued, the only reason they're doing that is because it's a money-making move. Can you imagine if we all woke up and we were like, you know what, I'm worthy and I'm valuable, and I don't need this, that, and the other thing. What would happen to our economy?
Capitalism would collapse.
I think it's already collapsing. We're in the late stages.
That'd be the final blow.
But yeah, simple as that. You are worthy.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
You are worthy.
Yeah, I think along that same sentiment, just have audacity, take up space. I think that, what is often, told to people is to shut up, be quiet, sit down. You can't do that. You can't be that. Who says? I know who says. Every TV ad, every movie, everything, where it's so prominent. I think interrogate every single ad you see and say, well, why is that way? Because chances are something is probably fat phobic. And if you peel back the layer of any onion, it begins to stink. And fat phobia is in that onion, racism's in that onion, sexism is in that onion, ableism is in that onion, and they're all intertwined. They're all connected.
Yes.
Question everything, but don't question yourself. Sometimes, but don't question your worth.
Yeah, don't question your worth. Well, thank y'all so much. We had such a good time. And I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. I learned a lot from these amazing women. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Jess.